All right, so I'm really excited about this new series that I hope to follow through with, in which I plan on making a video every single day in February. My goal is to highlight some of the fantastic music and fantastic literature that has come out of some amazing Black artists and Black authors. And I'm doing this in honor of Black History Month, obviously. I plan to talk about on some days both music and a book. But because of the artist I'm talking about today, I'm going to have to keep it just focused on the artist because I have more records for this artist than I do for any other artist I'm going to talk about this month. So to begin with, I want to spend some time talking about an artist that is very controversial for some people, and that's Michael Jackson. And do please apologize. I apologize for any coughing that I do while we're recording. I am getting over something right now. So Michael Jackson had to be the artist that I started this with, and I will explain why in just a moment. But I do know that I recognize that he's controversial. And I would say to that, I found myself at a men's group with my church. When Michael Jackson came up one time, and I found myself getting very defensive over Michael Jackson. And I will say there's probably two main reasons for that. One is the emotional significance that his music played in my life, which I will explain later. But two is, as I've done the research, and again, I'm not a Michael Jackson scholar, I don't know everything, but as I've done the research, I've found that there is more evidence supporting that he is innocent of some of the worst crimes that he was accused of, than that there is evidence that he wasn't. Now, I do believe in believing those who say that they're abused. I do believe that. But, and I know there was a whole documentary following some of the young men who accused Michael Jackson of assault and molestation. However, that being said, he was cleared of it by the FBI, and a number of the people who were most frequently associated with what were deemed to be Jackson's abusive behaviors adamantly say that he was never abusive. Now, does that mean that he wasn't strange? No, he was very strange. I think a lot of that stems from his own childhood abuse. Does that mean that he had relationships that were maybe not appropriate for an adult and a minor to have? Yeah, I would say for sure. Probably not cool for him to have young guys sleeping over at his house, if I'm being honest. But I think in some ways, Michael Jackson was still very much a kid and someone who needed a lot of therapy. But I also think, from what I can tell, he was a relatively good person, trying to make the world better as best he could, and damaged by his childhood and our United States celebrity culture. I welcome any responses in the comments. I do ask, of course, that you be respectful. And I will say that there's a possibility that my mind could change, but there's probably no possibility that his music will stop being important to me. So the records that I have to show you today, I have 5 records by Michael Jackson. The records that I have to show you today they represent a portion. I apologize again. They represent a portion of Michael Jackson's solo career. Now, obviously, previous to his solo career, Michael Jackson had a long and extensive career as part of the Jackson 5 with his brothers. Then he had a solo career that was still on Motown. The records I have represent a vast majority of his solo career after he left Motown and joined with Epic Records. The first record that I got of his is actually the third one that I'll show you. And when I purchased it in a picture disc format. Now, if you're a vinyl collector or have ever been a part of the vinyl community, one thing you're probably aware of is that picture discs get a lot of flack. Primarily because they're deemed and considered to have less audio quality than regular black vinyl or even colored vinyl. People tend to think that picture discs mean that the record quality, the sound quality, is going to be worse. And I can't speak to that. I can't say, yes, the sound quality has been bad. I've had picture discs where the sound quality was bad. I remember as a child having a Mickey's Christmas Carol record that was on a picture disc that, didn't sound great. I had a He-Man Masters of the Universe record that was on picture disc. That didn't sound great. But these picture discs are phenomenal. They sound outstanding. At the time that I was purchasing these, picture discs were the primary way to purchase Michael Jackson's vinyl off of Amazon. I do try now to buy most of my records from my favorite record shop, which is St. Marie Records in Fort Worth, Texas. They don't pay me to say that. I just love the place. But so when I bought these, I bought them all off of Amazon, and I bought them all in picture disc format. I am missing one album from Michael Jackson's solo career, which is his very last album, Invincible. And I do hope at some point to fix that, so that I have his entire solo career on Epic Records. I may even go backwards and try and get more of his music from before that time. So, without further ado, we're 5 minutes into the video. Let me talk to you about what the Michael Jackson records, and then I'll talk about why I think he's so important. So, if I'm going in chronological order, this is not the order that I purchased the records in. The first picture disc I have is Michael Jackson's Off the Wall. Now, most picture discs come in a heavy PVC cover, which is it's not good for your records. So I have placed this record inside of another inner sleeve and then put that inside of the PVC vinyl cover. I will try to pull these out so that you get an idea of what's on both sides, because, of course, these picture discs have a different image on either side. If I'm smarter than the record cover, which is, questionable. So obviously on one side, we've got the cover picture from Michael Jackson's Off the Wall. And on the other side, we've got the legs. So it's both parts of Michael Jackson. So this record, I'm going to say I did not know as well as some of his other records, because this record was quite a bit before my time. And I was born in 1982. This record, I believe, was late 70s, 78, 79, somewhere in there. But my parents definitely owned this on cassette. And when my dad passed away, I was put in charge of this cassette box that he had with a bunch of his cassette tapes. And this tape was still in there. So for that reason, this record does hold some sentimental value to me. And it's got some great tracks on it. So this album has Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, which of course is a huge single. Rock With You is amazing. Let's see here. I'd say those are the two biggest singles off of this album. But there's still lots of other great songs. I mean, many of the songs on here are fantastic. So again, if we're continuing in chronological order, the next album is Thriller. Now, sorry for that being a little, it's a little crooked. That's okay. Now, everyone knows Thriller. Thriller is one of the best-selling albums of all time. I mean, we're talking probably one of the vinyl records that everybody, how to do this without touching it all over the place, everybody feels like they need to own, and you should. Thriller is a fantastic, fantastic album. And I love this. Now, there's obviously been anniversary editions that have come out with lots of extra tracks, behind the scenes, all that kind of stuff. And one day, I may try to acquire those as well, because Michael Jackson holds such a special place in my heart. However, for now, I am primarily happy to just have a copy of the album, and specifically, I love having the picture disc copy, which matches my other albums. Now, Thriller, I mean, obviously has Thriller on it. Wanna Be Startin' Something, The Girl Is Mine with Paul McCartney, Thriller, Beat It, Billie Jean, Pretty Young Thing, all big singles off this album, all amazing. Next is the first album I picked up by Michael Jackson, and the reason I had to get Michael Jackson vinyl. This is the first album I ever owned, period. I mean, maybe I had like some Disney cassette tapes before this and some Sesame Street cassette tapes before this, but as far as actual music, this is the first one that I owned, and that's bad. I almost said Beat It, but that's bad. This was my favorite album for a long time. I listened to it over and over and over again. I slept to it as a child. I had a Jackson 5 poster up in my room. I loved this album. And the second album I ever got was Weird Al Yankovic, Even Worse. So, you know, we had a play off of Michael Jackson on that as well. This album, of course, has Bad, The Way You Make Me Feel, Speed Demon, Librarian Girl, Another Part of Me, Man in the Mirror, I Just Can't Stop Loving You, Dirty Diana, Smooth Criminal. The only one I didn't say is Just Good Friends, which is also a good track, but I think that may be the least known track on the album. Every other track is so well known, and this is absolutely amazing. You know, just one of my favorite albums of all time. Still holds up as being super good. I totally missed the inner sleeve when I just put this in there, so let's fix that real quick. It does not help to turn my head when the microphone's attached to me, does it? Anyway, Bad. That one, again, since the first album I ever owned, it is the album that I say got me into music. And so I will always have a copy of that album, for sure. All right, so if I'm being honest, after Bad, I've always been someone that has a little bit of ADHD when it comes to music. So after Bad, I followed other music. I got into other things, and I missed these next two albums. I mean, I heard singles from them, but I didn't own them, and I didn't get into them. And so it was kind of cool to get them and listen to them, and I found that I really enjoy them quite a bit. And these are actual double picture discs, so this is going to take a minute longer to explain to you or show to you. But so the next one is Dangerous. Now, Dangerous has Jam, Why You Want to Trip on Me, In the Closet, She Drives Me Wild, Remember the Time, Can't Let Her Get Away, Heal the World. So obviously Jam, Remember the Time, Heal the World, those are big tracks. Black or White is a big one. Who Is It, Give In to Me, Will You Be There, Keep the Faith, Gone Too Soon, and Dangerous. So Black or White and Dangerous, other big singles. We've got a double LP picture disc. So let's see if we can take a quick gander. And this gets very complicated because these are side inserts. I know what to do. Let's pause. Okay, I have effectively retrieved the albums without taking 10 minutes of your time to do so. So here's our first album, our first LP. Obviously, that's the cover image. The art on this is just exquisite, just amazing. Even my mom was over here today for my son's birthday. My son just turned 12, and we were looking at these picture discs because my mom was listening to Michael Jackson on her way over here, and she was like, the art is so amazing. So this is the second LP. Really fantastic. So, really glad to have this in my collection. My son's a big basketball player, so had to have Jam, of course. So, and show him that music video. Which brings us to the last one in my collection, but not the last one I hope to have in my collection. And that's His Story. Right? So, this is again a double LP. Picture disc. And I'll show you all four sides here in a second. This one has Scream, right, which was with just a fantastic track on there. They Don't Care About Us, so we've got Michael Jackson's kind of anti-racist song there. Stranger in Moscow this time around, Earth Song, DS, Money, Come Together, which is a fantastic cover. You Are Not Alone, obviously a big hit. Childhood from Free Willy 2, Tabloid Junkie, Too Bad, History, Little Susie, and Smile. So there's some covers on here. There's some originals. It's just a great, great album. So let me pause it again to get these out. All right, I got them out. So let's start with LP number 1. We've got side A and side B. Absolutely beautiful. Super reflective. You obviously can see like the entire rest of this room in this record. And then, let's see here. Here's side C, the beginning of the second LP. and then side D, and there we go. So again, I still have to add Invincible, and then I may go back and get some more. I do have, as far as other stuff with Michael Jackson in it, I do also have Jackson 5 Christmas album, and I've got a couple like Best of Motown albums that he shows up on. One's a Motown Christmas album, one's a Motown #1's album. And that's probably all that I have with him on it. But I suppose we have to say real quick, why is Michael Jackson important to have? Well, number one, he's the king of pop, right? I'm so sorry. If you grew up in the 80s, it was Michael Jackson and Madonna, and nobody was at that level of those two. I grew up, Michael Jackson was my favorite, Madonna was my sister's favorite, so we listened to them quite a bit. Michael Jackson, I think, broke down a lot of barriers. He moved dance forward. He moved performance forward. He was... I don't think anyone had tours the way that he had before him. There are giant tours like he has now, but I don't think anyone had tours the way that he did. He changed the way music videos were done, and I wish people still did music videos on the scale that Michael Jackson did. Most of his music videos, and I think I've heard several times, he didn't like calling them music videos. He called them short movies or something along those lines. They had a story that went with them. Look at the whole video for Thriller, the whole video for Speed Demon. Look at the movie Moonwalker, which ties together a lot of music videos. I mean, it's weird stuff, but it's great stuff. And I think his eclectic taste is something that's influenced me quite a bit as well. So I hope that you can enjoy Michael Jackson too. I understand some people can't, but I think he's definitely earned his spot in recognition during Black History Month. So I'm going to go put some more on. I've listened to the first 3 today, so maybe it's time to put on Dangerous.